folks. Jeff Antoniuk here from Jazzwire. I've got another good guided listening for you this week. This is my man Joe Henderson off his album In and Out, a Kenny Dorham composition called Short Story. Why this tune? Well, there's always some kind of story about why I pick a tune. In January of 2025, which is a month from now, I'm going to be going to the Jazz Educators Network Conference. I'm on the education board, and Jazzwire is a corporate sponsor. It's an amazing conference. 5,000 or 6,000 people come from around the world, educators, performers, adult students, and super high-end pros playing all these feature concerts and giving workshops. It's amazing. You can come. You should come. So 30 people from Jazzwire are going to be coming. 3 of my masterclass groups are coming from the Washington, D.C. area to perform. It's going to be a blast. And I'm going to be doing a feature concert with James Moore, who some of you know from the JandJonJazz videos, great trumpet player. James and I decided to do a Blue Note era Kenny Dorham, Joe Henderson concert. So this is one of the songs we're going to be performing. And this is a tune I've never played. I don't think I've ever played it. Maybe I played it once. So this is a tune I'm going to be learning this month, along with 5 others related to Joe Henderson and Kenny Dorham. So the band here, of course, Joe and Kenny. It's McCoy Tyner on piano. It's Richard Davis on bass. And it's Elvin Jones on drums. So it's, really coming from, Coltrane's group, right? Coltrane's rhythm section. And this cool tune, Short Story, it's very much like the song Kenny Dorham wrote, Blue Bossa. It's in the same key, I think. And it's just sort of an elongated, stretched out sort of version of Blue Bossa harmonically. It's a minor 1 chord, goes to a minor 4 chord, 2/5, so it's got a lot in common. So it's kind of slick, but there's so much in the arrangement, in the playing, in the ending, it just how things are done. It really makes it sound like more than it is. If you just look at sort of the chords and the lead sheet, it's like, oh, that's not very much. But what they did with it, and then of course these geniuses playing over it like that, just next level, right? So let's just kind of jump into it. There's an interesting moment. I'll just mention it here. Towards the end of the tune, where the band plays an 8-measure shout, kind of ensemble passage, and then Elvin Jones answers with 8 on the drums. The band plays the shout for 8, Elvin plays 8. His first 8 is 8 3/4. It's like a Harry Potter 8 or something. He's off. He just plays longer. And that's kind of an Elvin thing. And the thing is, the band doesn't stumble, or it's not some big train wreck, because what Elvin's playing required those extra beats. Is it correct? No. But is it Elvin? Yeah. Does it sound amazing? Yeah. Have you heard this song before and never realized it? Absolutely. So it's one of those moments. So I play with drummers who are metronomically correct always. And sure, yeah, we should play with good time, right? And I play with drummers who have a little more elbow room in their feel. And sometimes ideas take a little longer. There's this great Elvin Jones quote I love. Somebody was asking him about trading 4s. Like, man, I got lost in the 4s and I thought maybe one of those wasn't, something like that. And Elvin's like, some 4s take longer than others. So, some 4s take longer than others. So we hear that from Elvin the first time around. The second 8 that he plays is kind of right on. So anyway, it's kind of a cool thing to listen for. Let's jump into it. This is recorded in 1964. Short Story, composed by Kenny Dorham. So already a composed bass line. That classic Elvin sort of Latin-like. McCoy Tyner doing those cascading 4ths and 5ths that he's known for. Great groove. So already it sounds deep and mysterious, and there's levels to it, right? Oh, okay. So there's some rhythmic hits. And walking bass. Oh, it's walking. Okay, now we're back to Latin. So it's 8 of that Latin feel. And that's the end of the melody. Okay, so we're walking. So we've left the kind of Latin idea behind. Man, what great lines. I'm noticing for the first time ever how many repeated notes Kenny Dorham uses in his lines. Ba-do, ba-da, ba-da, ba-do, ba-do. Just 2 notes, 3 notes. It's very slick. And man, so the band is getting excited here, right? Woo! I'm going to transcribe that. So a repeated rhythmic figure like that is just an invitation for Elvin to get going, right? All right, Kenny. Start the solo, bass and the drum is pretty sedate, right? So McCoy is definitely using his modal 4th, 5th based comping. But at this point, the rhythm section's still pretty sedate behind Joe, right? And Joe's playing more linear kind of stuff. And did you notice the moment Joe played that triplety thing, Elvin got engaged a little bit more, or busier. Woo. Right? So now the rhythm section's starting to go for it. And those cascading arpeggios that we know from Joe. Funny, the bass just kicked in there louder. I'm not sure if he was in a range that picked up better or what happened. And this motivic stuff that Joe is so masterful at, using one idea to last for 8 measures or more. And then mixing it up with great linear bebop kind of post-bop lines. Fantastic. So now, let's listen to McCoy's comping for himself. It's very sparse to start with. So just little jabs with his left hand, accompanying his right hand soloing. And then we're going to start hearing these big grounded fifths or octave and fifth in his left hand on beat 1 usually. We're going to start hearing more of that. There it was. Educated guess. And so now he's comping more and it's a little more urgent as his lines are building. He starts doing this thing where he's kind of playing a little bit locked hands, where his comping is now following his melodic lines. It's a chord solo. So he did that for 8 measures and now jumped out of it. Okay, here's this send-off. Here's what I was talking about with Elvin. One. Oh, okay, that came out okay. Nice. melody out, following that same template of that cool Latin with the bass line. It really adds a lot to the tune, really gives it a layer of complexity, I suppose. And now, here comes this big long coda. Here, this is all new material. And so it started out Latin, now it's swinging, this coda. Now it goes back to this Latin idea. Yeah, so that coda is really intriguing to me. The song itself is 16 measures long, and they play it twice to make it 32 measures, but the tune is 16. That coda is 25 measures long. So the coda is much longer than the tune itself. Interesting. I'd love to know kind of how that came to be, and sort of the direction the coda went, or did the producer say, hey, we need a coda, or did Kenny come in and that's how we wrote it? I'd love to know sort of the backstory on that. And now that Elvin Jones thing, so I listened to that thing 3 times this morning, and I always felt that Elvin he finished his idea a little late, but there, I think maybe because I'm listening to it and I'm sort of micro adjusting to what he's doing, because I can absolutely tell where his phrasing is. And of course, it's silly for me to be counting metronomically underneath him when I can tell things are going, kind of sideways. It's interesting. And I've played with great drummers like that, where when I first started playing with them, I was really counting through their solos and their 4s, and I was just getting lost. Because the language they were that wasn't what they were prioritizing, might be a way to put it. And it sounds weird that a drummer wouldn't prioritize time, but the time it takes something to breathe. We could say this sentence should take this many seconds to say, blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, but somebody may make that comma a little longer. They may stretch out that 4-syllable word, right? So it's interesting that there are great drummers with really kind of perfect time, let's call it. There are great drummers with highly imperfect time. And that imperfect, of course, it's possible to play with imperfect time and suck. Don't do that. I know those drummers too. So we don't want that, right? But that idea where maybe feel takes precedence, and maybe the feel necessitates some stretching of the time. It's interesting, right? I love talking with drummers about this kind of stuff and how they think about it, and the fist fights that inevitably happen with all of this stuff. But no one's going to tell you that Elvin Jones isn't like ridiculously swinging. So that's what we heard here. So yeah, a really cool tune off a really, really important album from 1964, Blue Note. And hope you enjoyed listening to that. And, again, the song itself is really very straightforward. The harmony is straightforward, but the arrangement and, of course, the performance of that C minor chord, the performance of that F minor chord, that's where it's at. So a song doesn't have to be outrageously complicated to be deep and enjoyable and highly interesting. All right, hope you enjoyed listening to that short story by Kenny Dorham. And I really hope, if you're going to be in Atlanta in January for the Gen Conference, definitely look me up. Jazzwire is going to have a big presence there, and I hope I'll see you there. Take care.